It started out as a peaceful morning. It's just another Saturday in our quiet neighborhood. But what was supposed to be a normal weekend quickly spiraled into chaos when a group of self-proclaimed HOA security stormed our driveway, shouting commands and pointing a gun at my wife. What they didn't know, what they couldn't have expected, was that the woman they thought they could intimidate is an undercover FBI agent. The story begins, calm, personal tone, so let me back up a little. We'd moved into this neighborhood about 8 months ago. Nice area, good schools, decent people, or so we thought. There's an HOA, of course. And from the start, they gave off serious power trip energy. But we paid our dues, followed the rules mostly, until we didn't see the real trigger. A shed, just a small 10 by 12 storage shed I was building in our backyard, fully legal, fully permitted by the city. But apparently, it didn't meet HOA aesthetic standards. Whatever that means. They sent a couple of letters, even threatened fines, but we ignored it. Why? Because we knew the law, and we knew the HOA didn't have any real enforcement, authority beyond their little covenants. That's when things turned ugly. Escalation begins about a week after the last HOA letter. My wife was in the driveway, getting groceries out of the trunk. That's when it happened. A black SUV rolls up. No license plate on the front. 2 men in tactical vests hop out, shouting, HOA enforcement, stay where you are. One of them actually draws a weapon. Not a badge, not a walkie-talkie, a gun. He points it directly at my wife. I was inside. I saw it all go down through the window. I grabbed my phone, heart pounding, ready to dial 911, but I stopped, because my wife didn't flinch. She just raised one hand slowly and calmly said, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." The guy holding the gun looked confused. The other one looked nervous, and that's when she pulled her wallet from her jacket pocket. Not a regular wallet. Her FBI credentials. Stunned silence voiceover, dramatic. The 2 fake cops froze. One of them stammered, this is a misunderstanding. My wife, cold as ice, responded, "Put the weapon down now. You're impersonating law enforcement, you're brandishing a firearm on private property, and you just threatened a federal agent." Meanwhile, I had started recording everything. From my phone, realization hits the fake HOA enforcers. The guy finally lowers the weapon. My wife pulls out her phone, calls her field office. Within 5 minutes, actual law enforcement, local PD, and a couple unmarked federal vehicles are pulling up in front of our house. The HOA goons, they didn't even try to run. Just stood there, caught in the act. Turns out these 2 weren't even licensed security. No permits, no training, just a couple of HOA board members who decided to play sheriff. They'd been intimidating other homeowners too, mostly elderly residents under the guise of compliance checks. But no one had ever stood up to them until now. Fallout and consequences, both men were arrested on the spot. Charges included impersonating a law enforcement officer, illegal possession of a firearm, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Their HOA board dissolved within a week. Turns out, several members had been abusing their power for years. And the best part, because of the federal charges, this case made local news and then national. Other victims came forward. People we didn't even know had been scared into silence. Now, there's a federal task force investigating HOAs across the region for similar abuses of power. My message to everyone watching: I share this story not just because it happened to us, but because it could happen to anyone. These HOA boards, some of them start out with good intentions, but give the wrong people a clipboard and a fake badge, and they think they run the world. Don't let them intimidate you. Know your rights. Read your city ordinances. Don't assume the HOA has authority just because they say they do. And if something ever feels wrong, speak up, because silence is what these bullies count on. And as for my wife, let's just say she made it very clear that she doesn't need a badge to stand her ground. OUTRO. Reflective. Thanks for watching. If you found this story shocking or empowering, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you've had a run-in with a power-tripping HOA, share your story below. You're not alone. Within 48 hours of the arrests, the HOA's office was practically abandoned. No one showed up to their scheduled compliance inspections. No more passive-aggressive emails about trash bins or mailbox colors. Just silence. But the silence didn't last. By Monday morning, the neighborhood Facebook group exploded with comments. Some people were outraged, not at us, but at the fact that these board members had been playing cop for so long and nobody knew. Others started posting their own horror stories. Elderly neighbors who'd been fined hundreds of dollars for unauthorized garden gnomes. Families threatened over swing sets. A disabled veteran whose ramp was nearly removed because it didn't match the architectural flow. It was like a dam broke. And here's the wildest part. 2 of the arrested men had created a fake subcommittee inside the HOA called Residential Security Oversight. It sounded official. It made their own IDs, logos, even uniforms. They actually convinced people that they had real enforcement authority. But all of it, completely fake. The vests, the badges bought online, the SUV they used, leased under the HOA's name with membership dues. That's when my wife decided to do something about it. The FBI gets involved. Official now. See, being an undercover agent has its limits. She doesn't always have jurisdiction in civilian matters, especially when it comes to local HOA politics, impersonating federal agents, threatening citizens, and misusing community funds. That gets the attention of several agencies. She compiled a full report with evidence, including the video I recorded, and submitted it to her contacts. Within a week, there was a federal task force reviewing HOA operations in our area. You wouldn't believe how many of these boards had members who were misappropriating funds, strong-arming residents, and in one case, running illegal background checks on new homeowners. And now, those 2 guys, is facing federal time. Not fines, prison. Falling dominoes, the neighborhood unites after the arrests. A few of the decent neighbors approached us. They'd never liked the board, but didn't want to get involved. Fear is a powerful tool. But now that the threat was exposed, people wanted to organize. So we held a community meeting this time. It's not sanctioned by the HOA. Over 40 families showed up. We talked about what happened. We shared documents. Some neighbors admitted they'd been coerced into paying fines they didn't owe. Others said they'd been threatened with liens on their homes over minor infractions. One woman cried as she shared how her late husband's memorial bench was removed without notice because it was unauthorized landscaping. That night, we voted to dissolve the entire HOA, and we did it legally. Filed the paperwork, notified the city, and hired a real estate attorney to ensure everything was airtight. No more fake rules. No more backyard inspections. No more authoritarian nonsense disguised as community standards. My wife's final warning mic drop moment before the meeting ended. My wife stood up and addressed the group. She said, and I quote, "The law isn't something you bend for your ego. It's not a toy. And if anyone in this community ever tries to wear a badge they didn't earn or threaten a neighbor under false authority again, don't expect a warning next time. Expect federal charges." Dead silence. Then applause. She doesn't like the spotlight, but that night, she became a legend in our neighborhood. Fast forward life after the HOA, it's been a few months now. The shed is still standing. No more letters, no more harassment. And honestly, the neighborhood's never felt more like a community. People are actually helping each other out now, mowing lawns for the elderly, organizing block parties, volunteering for real improvement projects. And my wife, she got a commendation from her field office for her actions that day off the clock, out of uniform, but always on duty. Reflection, a final word to viewers. Here's the thing. Power attracts the wrong kind of people sometimes. They hide behind titles and policies, hoping no one challenges them. But when you stand your ground, when you know the law, and refuse to be intimidated, bullies fold fast. And if you're lucky enough to be married to someone like my wife, well, let's just say no HOA in the country wants to play pretend cop again. So if you're watching this and dealing with something similar, don't stay quiet. Document everything. Know your city codes. Talk to your neighbors. Stand up for yourself. Because if you don't, someone else will try to stand over you. Thanks for sticking through this wild ride. If this story lit a fire in you, hit that like button, share it with someone living under HOA hell, and subscribe for more stories that prove sometimes the best justice comes from the most unexpected places. Asterisk used. When we thought the storm had passed, we got a knock at the door one night. It was late around 10:30 p.m. I peeked through the peephole and saw a man I didn't recognize. Late 40s, wearing a hoodie, pacing on our porch like he was debating something. I opened the door slightly, keeping the chain on. He muttered, "You really screwed us over." Before I could respond, my wife appeared behind me. Calm as always. She asked, "Who are you?" That's when he said something that changed everything.